Varadhari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Bana Chari Jamuna Tira Bana Chari Jamuna Tira Bana Chari Jamuna Tira Bana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Ashtottara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Gaur Prem Anande.
Hari Hari.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo We are reading from and studying from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and we've been reading and studying from the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Does anybody know the chapter title of number 4? What is that?
Transcendental knowledge.
Very good, very good. Just transcendental knowledge. If you in Sanskrit, you would say Divya Gyan, right? Divya Gyan. There's all kinds of knowledge. Political knowledge, social knowledge, scientific knowledge, but this is Divya, transcendental knowledge that's not affected by time or circumstance. It's true in all cases. So we're at verse number 10. So is it up there on the board?
Yeah.
Okay, on the screen, not
Yeah.
board screen. Yeah, okay. So I'll chant it, you chant it, we'll see. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Manmaya Mam Upashrita
Manmaya Upasrita
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Puta Madbhavamagata
Putamagata
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Manmaya Mam Upashrita
Manmaya Upasrita
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Putamad-bhavamagata
Putamagata
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Manmaya Mam Upashrita
Manmaya Upasrita
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Putamad-bhavamagata
Putamagata.
Please chant.
Just when you said that it went off.
Oh, you don't have it by memory yet? It's went out? Okay.
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Madbhavam Manmana
Bhavam.
Bhava Mad. I'm not
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. So these are Lord Krishna's actual words. And so it's purifying, very purifying for us.
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Manmaya Mam Upasrita
Manmaya Upasrita
Bahavo Jnana Tapasha
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Uttamad Bhavamagataha
Putamad-bhavamagata
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha
Manmaya Mam Upasrita
Manmaya Mam Upasrita
Bhavo Jnana Tapasya
Bahavo Jnana Tapasa
Uttamad Bhavam Agata.
Putamad-bhavamagata. Ladies. That's not there? We have somebody has a book there, I see. I see Mother Vindyavali has a book there. It's 410. Come on. Aha. Go ahead. Yeah. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mam Upasrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Putamad-bhavamagata. Very nice. Thank you.
It's up there now.
Okay.
They can check.
Any other volunteers? Go ahead. Yeah. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mam Upasrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Putamad-bhavamagata. Yes. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Oh, it went down again.
I gave up.
Manmaya Mam Upasrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Putamabhavamagata Vita. Oh, somebody's singing. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Madmaya Mam Upasrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Putamabhavamagata Vita. Freed from Raga attachment. Bhaya. You know what bhaya is? Fear. That's right. Krodha. Anger. Thank you. Manmaya. Fully in me. Mam. In me. Upasrita. Being fully situated. Bahavo. Many. Jnana. Of knowledge. Tapasa. By the penance. Puta. Being purified. Matbhavam. Transcendental love for me. Agata. Attain. Translation. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Without looking, can anybody say what the verse was about in their own words? Just checking. Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
Many people attained freedom from anger and greed and fear by surrendering to Krishna.
Taking refuge in Krishna. Yes. Many, and then what was, and finally what happened at the end after they did that? What, they got purified, yes, and then after being purified, what happened? What's that? Yes, attained transcendental love. So this is a really pretty amazing verse here. Purport. As described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand how the Supreme can be a person. Such materialists cannot even imagine that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of the gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider the Supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. When they are informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again. And so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to the bubbles of the ocean which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection of spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. This is a kind of fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all, being embarrassed by so many theories and by contradictions of various types of philosophical speculation. They become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. Such people are in a diseased condition of life. Some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. Some of them want to merge into the supreme spiritual cause, and some of them disbelieve in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. This last class of men take to the shelter of some kind of intoxication, and their affective hallucinations are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. Some people live through the 60s. One has to get rid of all three stages of material consciousness: attachment to material life, fear of a spiritual personal identity, and the conception of void that arises from frustration in life. To get free from these three stages of the material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional life. The last stage of devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of Godhead. According to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, adau shraddha, tata sadhu sango, ta bhajana kriya, tato narta nivriti syat, tato nishta ruchis tata, ata saktis tato bhavas, tato prema bhyunaduchati, sadhakyanam ayam premna pradurbhavi bhavet krama. In the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. And in the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes freed from all material attachment, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further toward attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love for God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. That was a quote from that Sanskrit. In the prema stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, by the slow process of devotional service under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustrations that result in void philosophy. Then one could ultimately attain to the abode of the Supreme Lord. Om Ajnana Timidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kata Mahyam Dadati Shahpadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. Right? So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is describing that there's a process by which you step by step, one becomes freed from these things. And there's many stages in that process. But, it's very comforting to know that it's not just because somebody was born in a certain place or by some chance they got some kind of spiritualization, but it's open an opportunity for each one of us to make progress in spiritual life by following this standard process. The only thing that's required is a sincere desire to do that. And with that sincere desire, taking up the process and practicing it. Just like in any skill you might want to develop, it takes some good instruction and regular practice. And then it becomes second nature. Similarly, with the soul, by its very nature, is meant to love Krishna. It's not something artificial that we try to impose on ourselves. Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Kore Udoy. Krishna, love of Krishna, is situated in each one of your and our hearts. And by the process of regularly hearing about Krishna, which is called, you know what that's called? Krishna Katha. There's different kinds of Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha can be the words spoken directly by Krishna, like, what's that? Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, and there's words spoken about Krishna. And usually we find that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So both things are Krishna Katha, but then by regular practice of those things, then Shuddha Chitte, the consciousness, becomes purified, freed from its entanglement, and one makes progress. That love of Godhead comes out. Srila Prabhupada sometimes gave the example. Did anybody ever drive a clutch car here? Yeah. You know about clutch cars, yeah. People used to like to get a clutch car because it was cheaper and used less gas, yeah, remember? Now everything's automatic. Sure. But sometimes if you had a clutch car and it didn't start, your battery is dead or something like that, or so then you could jump start it. Did you ever jump start a car before? Guys say yes. Most of the ladies did. So what you do is you get the car going in a certain area. Sometimes you put it on a hill and you get going down there with the clutch, pushing down on the clutch, and then you let up on the clutch, and because the gears engage, then the engine starts vroom, 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 vroom. So then you started the car. Did you ever do that? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see what the guys say.
It's called popping the clutch.
There you go. There you go. But that wouldn't work unless the car could work anyway. If you're trying to pop the clutch on just something, a wagon, it's not going to work. but because it actually has the facility to go. So in the similar fashion, you and I have the facility to be fully engaged and be a lover of God and engaging in His service. That's a natural condition. But now we've forgotten about it. We've become distracted by so many other things. But just by engaging in that same process, in that process of bhakti yoga, it starts up again at any point in time. And Krishna says, very, very nicely, Nehabhikarmana shosti pratyavayana vidyate svalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That in this endeavor, any progress that you make, any progress, you never lose it. So say you become a big industrial magnate and amass a large bank balance, or you have some, a beautiful house, or you have some nice cars, and then you die, because everybody has to die. So what do you get your next life? Do you get your bank balance? Are you sure? No. There was one story about a boy who was he remembered his previous life, and he remembered that he had some money with him. He was just a little boy of 5, and he was walking along the bank of a river, and the local barber came, cut his throat, and took his money.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So this is it's from the files of Ian Stevenson. So then the next life, when he was born, sometimes they would, in his family, they'd have a gathering of the village, and as soon as the barber who had killed him in his previous life come, he'd start screaming, and when he was born, he had a birthmark right around his neck like that. So then, when he got old enough to talk, he started talking about how the barber had killed him, and he had taken some of his money, and he'd buried the murder weapon in such and such a place along the bank of the river. And so they went there, and they got the murder weapon. Of course, they didn't have good forensic evidence at that time, but anyway. So when the time came to try the barber for the murder, one problem happened. How can you have a witness from a previous life? How are you going to do that? How are you going to make that? So yeah, you can't have your bank balance in your next life. You can't be a witness for something that happened in your last life, or at least a provable witness, right? So you can't take any of that. Yeah. So our attachments are strong. Everybody in this world, we have our strong attachments. Everybody. And everybody might have a little bit of different attachments. There's so many different kinds of bodies within this world. How many species of life? Lots. Millions. And each species of life is there because there's a particular kind of attachment that we've developed. The soul has been in contact with matter. So, because of our attachments, as soon as we're attached to something that's temporary, that can be lost immediately, there's anxiety. And another term for anxiety is fear. Yeah, fear. So first thing is that we get attached. We get attached to the body. But the body can be hurt, it can be destroyed, and it will die at any moment. So there has to, as soon as we become attached to some physical thing, then immediately there's some anxiety is going to come. You got it. Yeah, we may get away from it for a little while, maybe forget about it, but it's coming back. Somebody told me that they used to, they saw people, the slaughterhouse of pigs. So, the farmer would come with his hatchet or whatever and take a pig, and all the other pigs would run. But after a few minutes, then they'd forget about it, and they'd be eating nicely, and then he'd come and get another one. This is us in the material world, because ahani bhutani gachanti iha yamalayam. You know this? Every day, millions of people, or thousands and thousands of people, are going to the abode of death. But the most wonderful thing is, we think, no, we're never going to die. Even though we may have an intellectual idea, we don't really believe it. It's not serious. We don't become serious about it, about what's really going to happen to us at the time of death. Why do kids go to school? Why do kids go to the university? Because they know there's a future life that they got to prepare for, right? So you want to make sure that you have a good future life. Well, everybody knows, we all know we're going to die. But who's ready? Who's taking time or taking an effort to prepare for that eventuality? So Lord Krishna is saying, if you want to become fearless, you have to clear yourself from the attachment, and we have so many attachments. How are we going to get free from that attachment? Follow the process of Krishna consciousness. Here in Bhagavad, you're doing that. Hearing Bhagavad Gita. I think Ram Sham was doing the japa. It's like some people wash pots, right? Yeah. So sometimes you get a pot that's got caked on soot. Did you ever get one of those pots?
Yes.
And how do you clean that? Sometimes people they'll put some water in it and let it soak, right?
No.
Does that, yeah. People, they put it in water and let it soak, and you come back and it's still the same. There's no change. That's what happens. So it takes, you got to get some elbow grease, right? You got to get some detergent, and you really scrub, because our hearts, our attachment, has been anadi karma pale. It's been there for years and years and years and lifetimes. So, but by our great mercy of Krishna, he sends those people, and you're all very fortunate souls because you come in contact with, Krishna through this Hare Krishna movement. So he sends people who have an interest to clean out the dirty parts of the heart, an opportunity to do so by hearing and chanting about Krishna. So, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, recommends that each one of us incorporate in our daily routine, just like you have to eat regularly. Why? You got to keep strong, right? You got to bathe regularly. Why? Because otherwise people say, wow. All this you have to do, you have to exercise regularly. So you also have to engage in spiritual activities regularly to become make spiritual progress. And so the first part of that, engaging in spiritual activity regularly, is to, Lord Chaitanya recommended, to incorporate in your daily life chanting the holy names of the Lord. There's two ways to chant. You know this? There's kirtan. Kirtan means out loud. Everybody benefits. And japa means you're doing it for your own self-purification. So one or the other or both, but especially both, is very effective to make progress in spiritual life. And you can make a test. You can examine it. If you practice it regularly, you will see, just as it says in this verse, Vita ba'araga bhaya krodha. The attachment will become less, the fear will become less, and the anger will become less. Why? Because our attachment to our body and our physical conceptions becomes dissolved. So that, I'm not this body. I'm not American. You're not Indian or Chinese or Russian. We're eternal servants of God. And even if we die, even if you leave this body, which will happen, your chance in the next life is you'll get another chance to engage in Krishna service. He says, nothing will loss. There's no loss or diminution. So put it to the test. We recommend. Lord Chaitanya recommends. Srila Prabhupada recommends. And it says here, many, many persons in the past did this. It's not, it's not just something fly by night. Lots of people did it. You see, Lord Chaitanya is there with all of his associates. There's a parampara system of Srila Prabhupada. He didn't just make up this philosophy. He got it from his spiritual master. And he got it from his spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya got it from his spiritual master, and the original spiritual master is Krishna. So Krishna knows how to get things done, how to bring us back to spiritual consciousness in the spiritual world. And all one has to do really is to follow it, or try to follow it, or make an attempt to follow it carefully, and then Krishna will help you. It's not, it's not easy to focus the mind on spiritual topics. There's so many distractions, especially in Kali Yuga. I didn't hear any phones going off here today. Usually there's at least one phone that goes off during that. Yeah. But so many. Even if you're, in the Himalayas, you'll see the planes are going to fly over. There's so many distractions. But Krishna, the name Krishna means all attractive. All attractive. So we're attracted to various things, but those attractions wane after a very short time. But Krishna is so kind that by coming in contact with him through his divine name, through his associates, through his literature, the attraction that's natural for each person comes to the fore. Nobody has to be taught. A boy doesn't have to be taught to be attracted to a young girl, right? It's natural, right? Or vice versa. So in a similar way, the attraction for the soul is developed just if the heart is clean, so that the attraction can manifest. Sometimes you'll find, a magnet will attract iron, right? Always? Will it always attract iron? When doesn't it attract iron?
When it's rusted.
What's that?
When it's rusty.
That's right. Rusty, ordinarily, but if the iron is rusted, it won't attract. So you got to clean off the rust, and then naturally it's attracted. So similarly, our hearts are naturally attracted to Krishna, but clean off the dust, cheto darpanamarjana, by this process of chanting the holy names regularly in your life, and then you'll see it works. It works. Many persons have experienced this, and you will too. We will too. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Questions?
I don't know. Questions?
I just first would like to thank you for that
Sure.
rendition and summary of this valuable purport. In my experience, so many devotees always appreciate the class even more when a personal example is shared.
Yes.
And you have certainly spoken, and it was so funny that you referenced Chaitanya directly, because I was thinking Chaitanya as an outlet for this particular purport. But when I say personalizing this experience, of really personalizing our relationship with Krishna, cleansing us from the rust, if you will, of material bondage, I found that locking onto a particular incarnation, image, anything of Krishna, for me, it was always Krishna as a bait. And so from that natural attraction, you see, that image of whatever manifestation that appeals to you, you see that in kirtan, you hear that in japa, and it becomes second nature, would you say?
Yes. Natural. It's a natural thing. And Krishna helps you to get it to increase it over time by following it. Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So for those that are not familiar, every morning we do a Srimad Bhagavatam class from Zoom at 7:50 to 8:30 a.m. And Krishna Prabhu, on every Wednesday, he gives at that same time Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Quite a number of you I know attend, but for those of you who are not familiar, we invite you to please come and try it out Wednesday morning at 7:50 a.m. So now we're going to give an announcement about book distribution, some of the activities that have been taking place. And we have Dr. Sean here who will speak about that.
Hare Krishna devotees. So we have some really great news and updates for the Philadelphia region book distribution. This last week, we really put together a good couple of teams of devotees to go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. And we've gone out to 2 different locations, 2 completely separate teams of devotees. One team was in Devon, going door to door,
Where?
distributing books in Devon.
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 Apartment complex?
Yeah. Mother Vinjavali and,
Devon, you mean like way up?
yeah, in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an apartment complex that the devotees went to and went door to door.
Who were the devotees?
I don't know exactly everyone who went on that team, because I wasn't there.
One was Mother Vindyavali.
The mother was, yeah.
Oh, I'm Shamway.
Yeah, me and my family members.
Myself.
Haribo.
And they were able to distribute 70 books.
Hare Krishna.
So of course that's very inspiring and exciting and pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, which gives us access to Krishna consciousness at such a deeper level. So we also went, there's a team that went yesterday to Rittenhouse Square.
Hare.
There were 6 of us, including Dr. Nicholas, Dr. Ian. They came out, and Dronacharya Prabhu, myself, my daughters, Sita, and,
Nilamvari.
oh yeah,
Fishing.
yep, and Nishinga. We had a table at Rittenhouse Square. And the interactions we had and the people that were out were just, it was wonderful. Distributing books and getting through the Prabhupada's, transcendental knowledge out there. So we also distributed 78 books. And just from my experience of being there, it was just totally ecstatic. Being able to get books into people's hands and talking to people about Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, it's like the greatest thing. And I'm sure any of you who have done it have tasted that nectar as well. And, sometimes I know my own self, it can be difficult to like get it together with everything going on in life to get out there and do it, but when we can make it happen, it's really such a sweet thing. So we have this entire month, every Saturday, we'll be going to Rittenhouse Square. And there will be also some other events that are being put together, which I don't have the exact details on the other events, but for Rittenhouse Square, we will be going generally around 1 to 1:30. We leave from the temple, and we get down there and go until about 5 o'clock. So that's each Saturday and potentially Sunday on the 19th. But for now, next weekend, definitely Saturday. And my phone number or Dronacharya were both in the newsletter that went out, so anyone can reach out to me for details on that if you'd like to go. The more the merrier. And so let's try to double these book scores for next time we go out, because we can take over Philadelphia with Srila Prabhupada's books.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. So there's just one more announcement with this. We also have the opportunity, because we can't all get out and go out and distribute books. It's a whole nother activity in our busy life, but we have this Live to Give campaign to sponsor the case of Bhagavad Gitas. So we have the soft bounds. It's $108 for the case. It's 16 in a hardbound and 24 in a soft. And so we can, if you want to get the case of books and distribute it yourself, you can get the case, or if you want us to distribute the books, then we can do that as well. So anyone who's interested in that, we'll be discussing that throughout the month, because this is the marathon time. You can go and fill one of these out at the front desk. So, thank you all, and it's great that we've been able to do this.
What is the cost of the book without this offer or marathon? Is out of that?
The case of the Bhagavad Gita's are $108.
During this period, after this period, if somebody buy,
Yeah, I don't know actually. What is the case?
that will
normal
be
case of
that will be
case
more
of
price
Bhagavad
always,
Gita's?
right?
Are they on sale?
They're on. I believe it's a discounted price right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a discounted price to get the cases.
Yeah.
Our goal is to try to get to 4,800 Bhagavad Gitas.
Okay.
That is the goal for Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia. So the goal in Philadelphia is to try to get to 4,800 Bhagavad Gitas purchased, so that we can then distribute them throughout the city and the region. Yes, Prabhu? You had some?
Many years ago, the first door-to-door book distribution in Philadelphia. We went to Wayne Avenue, right over here. And we were walking on the sidewalk, and I saw this candle in this bay window. And it was very beautiful. And I said, oh, this is what I'm going to do first. So I go up there, and I knock on the door, and this older lady answers the phone. She says, please come in. And I walk in, and there's a Krishna book right on the bay window. She has a candle lit up to it. She is the mother of the temple president of the Paris temple. And that's how we kicked off our first door-to-door book.
Wow.
And it was just history.
Amazing. Yeah,
But
there's
this is so nice that it's all starting again.
so many miracles happening on book distribution.
But she was so happy to see me. I was so happy to see her. Anyway, that was our first Philadelphia book distribution. That was what, 60, 72?
Well, it's still going.
When Krishna book first came out.
We have any more questions? Anybody have any questions about book distribution?
We still could finish that day one apartment complex. We just only did 3-floor blocks, that's all that we did.
Oh, so you're gonna return?
Still not.
Gonna keep going. There's so many, there's plenty of people out there who haven't seen the
But
books.
everybody welcomed us very nicely. And we had good discussion.
Hare
Amazing. Even Santana was distributing books yesterday as well.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maybe you can just say something real, actually, we're going to RT side now. Let's get over. Krishna. Can you turn the lights on in the back there real quick? Just a couple quick announcements. We want to recognize our sponsors, a couple upcoming events this week. That's great, thank you. So tonight we have two sponsors of our Sunday feast. By the generosity of sponsors, we're able to continue these very nice programs, come together to chant and to dance, as well as to distribute lots of prashad as well. So the first one, we want to pray for the soul of Rajshri. She is the sister of Attain Prabhu, who passed away this past week. We ask devotees to pray for her safe journey back home to Krishna. We also ask to pray for Yatin Patel's family, who's going through a very difficult time in losing their sister. One thing I wanted to mention is that Rajashri was very active down in Virginia. She was the temple president of the Roanoke Hindu temple. So we pray that her service, is recognized, and Krishna, blesses her with a safe return back to his lotus feet. Let us chant, raise our arms, and for Rajashri. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And next we have Bhakta Bhav. We sponsored the feast on behalf of his daughter, Sadi. It's her birthday today, so we want to say happy birthday to Sadi. Bob, who was in here earlier, I think he had to leave, trying to go home and have a birthday party with his daughter, but he was there helping pack the prashad. So let's raise our hands and offer her our blessings and ask for Krishna to shower his blessings onto her. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if anybody's interested in sponsoring a Sunday feast, you can do so both online. There's a link in the newsletter, as well as you can stop by the front desk and ask for a receipt. There is, if any devotee, usually I say Mataji, but this is a service both Matajis and Prabhus, men can do, men and women. We're looking for new garland makers. We're looking to add to our group that makes garlands on a daily basis. If you haven't noticed, I want everybody, before you leave tonight, when you come up and take darshan, to really see all the intricacies of the deities, the way that they're dressed, their jewelry, as well as the flower garlands. Every day, the deities get offered fresh garlands. And each of these garlands is a work of art. I mean, it really is a work of art. And it takes hours and hours to do. And this is devotional service to Lord Krishna. So if you're interested, again, men or women, Mother Nilumbari, I'm going to make you the point of contact in case anybody's interested. You can raise your hand. Right here. If you're interested in just finding out information, sometimes there are a couple ladies back there making garlands tonight. You can make them through the week and find out more about it. If you're just curious about how to get involved in doing some of this devotional service, please see Mother Nilumbari. Also, earlier on, Dr. Shaw made the announcement about book distribution. This is the month of giving. We want to give transcendental knowledge because this will change people from within. And we know that any change in the world has to come from within. Yesterday we met so many wonderful people. Today we met some more wonderful people. And we're able to give them the gift of Srila Prabhupada's books. We have all been changed by those books. And Srila Prabhupada took countless hours to translate, publish, and now it's our opportunity to follow in the footsteps of the greatest giver and give this transcendental wisdom to the world. So many different ways you can do it. You can join us. We have different places that we're going over the weekend. One place that's going to be constant is Rittenhouse Square. On the next Saturday, we'll be there around 1:30. You can join us from 1:30 to about 4-ish. We'll be there. And then also in the newsletter, we'll put in some more locations where we may be. I know there's a Indian grocery store we're going to set up a table at and distribute books there. If you're interested, please come see me, come see Dr. Sean, or you just check in at the front desk and we'll get you more information. Lastly, this is the month of Bhagavad Gita. As the Bhagavad Gita was spoken during this month, the actual day is the 14th of December. That is Gita Jayanti. So on that day, we're going to be doing a recitation of the Bhagavad Gita here in the temple room in its entirety from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So please come, take off work a little bit early if you can, and make sure you're here. Just one night, very auspicious to be able to hear the Bhagavad Gita. Sit for 3 hours and just hear. As Krishna spoke to Arjuna, we can also hear that same message on that same particular day. It's an Ekadasi that day. We'll also be distributing prasadam. For those of you who like Sanskrit and to recite Sanskrit, the Sunday before, on December 12th, we'll be doing a Sanskrit chanting of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter by chapter, here in the temple room, starting at 2 o'clock to 4:30, Sunday, December 12th. So that's, I believe that's all the announcements. Any questions before we wrap up? Okay. Wish you all a very wonderful Krishna Conscious week. Please stay safe. And also please join our morning programs every day. Every day, 7:50 to 8:30. And then in the evening, we have Bhagavad Gita happy hour. This is all on Zoom. 5 o'clock to 5:30, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.